serving with Senator Capito as the majority chair of the Committee on Environment and Public Works. She is our ranking member, and she hosted just a terrific field hearing yesterday in West Virginia. And I just want to thank her and her staff again for your hospitality and for putting together just a wonderful forum as we look forward to providing better access to drinking water for people throughout this country and meeting the wastewater treatment needs as well. Just by way of introduction, Senator Capito, I'm also delighted that my wingman, Senator Chris Combs, is here. Lisa Long Rochester is going to be speaking later. At-large Congresswoman is here, and our witnesses are here. We welcome you all. Shelley, just as a way of introduction, Dover is the capital of Delaware. Wasn't always the capital of Delaware. In the beginning, there was a place up the road about 40 miles called Newcastle, right in the Delaware River, where William Penn came to this country many, many years ago and landed, bringing the deeds to Pennsylvania, what would become Delaware. And after a number of years, the folks here in Delaware decided they want a capital in Dover. And we have had a capital here for a long time. We've had an Air Force base here for a long time as well. And there's an award that's made by the Air Force every year. It's a Commander-in-Chief's award for the best airlift base on the planet. Dover Air Force Base, I think, has won it more times than anyone else. And also, you know, the site for the remains of our fallen heroes when they come back to this country to be united with their family members. We have some businesses here we used to have used to be able to drive into Dover on certain mornings of the week, and it smelled like chocolate because we had a chocolate factory, chocolate pudding factory. We still have the factory and make other things now, and we have any number of businesses that are located here in our state capital. We also have part of our national park is here, and a couple of great state parks as well. So that's just a little bit about I'll do it right. I just also mentioned that before we had governors, we had presidents in the state, and one of our early presidents was a guy named Caesar Rodney. And Caesar Rodney's famous for riding his horse. A couple of days before July 4th, 1776, he rode his horse from Dover, Delaware to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and cast the tie-breaking vote in favor of the Declaration of Independence. So we're proud of that as part of our heritage. And on December 7th, 1787, after deliberating for about 3 days, 25 white guys from all over Delaware had read and debated the draft Constitution Senate from Philadelphia, and they, after debating, voted unanimously to ratify the Constitution, and thus Delaware became the first state. And it happened literally 3 miles from where we gathered here today. So a little bit about us, and we're thrilled to be holding this field, and delighted that you could all be with us. We have actually 2 panels of witnesses. One is a one-woman show, and it's our at-large Congresswoman, and she'll be followed by Cassandra Fotis Johnson. Cassandra, would you raise your hand? All right, welcome, Cassandra. Vicki Prettyman. Vicki, would you raise your hand? Vicki, nice to see you. And Rick Duncan. Rick. I said I see Rick almost as much as I see my wife. Not quite as much, but he's ever present in my life. And I think it's a good thing. But we're delighted that you're all here. And today we're going to focus on challenges facing our drinking water infrastructure of people in this state, especially, particularly in small, rural, disadvantaged communities of Delaware. As the recovering governor of Delaware, I always said that, and Shelley's dad was governor 3 terms of West Virginia, so she's the daughter of a recovering governor. But as the former governor of Delaware, I always said that my role was and is as a United States Senator to help create a nurturing environment for job creation and growth within the first state. And that's a tall order in and of itself, but one that is nearly impossible to achieve without access to clean and reliable drinking water. Senator Combs knows as a former county executive, and so knows as Senator Rogers, who knows as a cabinet member many times over, and now as a congresswoman. Businesses don't want to be in places where the water's not fit to drink. and they don't want to be in places where there's not adequate wastewater treatment. So this is an incredibly important element in as we try to create that nurturing environment for job creation and job preservation. When it comes to drinking water, Delawareans face a host of contamination issues with water that flows from our taps. A lot of places, most places in Delaware, the water is just fine. And a clear majority, vast majority, the water is just fine, but not every place. And that's a concern to all of us. From water pipes that contain lead to toxic pollutants like PFAS, one of the permanent chemicals that we hear about. Communities need a lot of assistance to address these issues, and fortunately, we, those of us that are up here and here, can help with that, and we're intent on doing that. In Sussex County alone, that's our southernmost county, Shelley's one of the largest counties in America. They raise more chickens there than any county in America. We raise in Delaware 300 chickens for every person who lives in Delaware. So and we import in the port of Wilmington more bananas than any port in the states, in the country. So you're eating chicken and bananas, we're your place. But in Sussex County alone, there's almost 100,000 people. More than half the county's population rely on private wells for their drinking water. And while some homeowners choose this option, other folks live too far from the municipality to access public utilities. Some of these Delawareans are finding excess contaminants like nitrates, like iron in the water, which we know can contribute to adverse health impacts. And those health impacts are more likely to affect low-income households who cannot afford a home filtration system. And we can and must do more to help these families. Many families in Delaware and across our country, especially those with young children, are also concerned about the lead in their water. And this potent contaminant leaches into drinking water from lead pipes, from faucets and fixtures. In children, low levels of exposure have been linked to damage to the central and peripheral nervous systems, learning disabilities, shorter stature, impaired hearing, and impaired formation and function of blood cells. There is no safe level of lead in drinking water. And while we've not seen lead contaminants in levels anywhere near those in cities like Flint, Michigan, drinking water tests in 20 locations in Delaware since 2012 revealed lead levels above the federal safety threshold. Often, this contamination is found in communities with small systems that do not have sufficient resources to manage their aging water systems. And given the damage that even the smallest amount of lead poisoning can cause, especially in children, we must work to ensure that all communities have the knowledge and resources to replace lead service lines to ensure safe, clean water for our most vulnerable citizens. We also have problems in Delaware with well and ground water contamination from toxic forever chemicals like PFOA, like PFAS. We call them forever chemicals because once they enter our body and once they enter our environment, they can take thousands of years to decompose and break down. We don't have thousands of years to address these issues. We must act quickly to ensure that all citizens in Delaware, all citizens in West Virginia, and beyond our borders have access to clean, safe drinking water. Together, Senator Capito and I took significant steps to address these needs through our Drinking Water and Wastewater Infrastructure Act. That bill formed the basis for the Senate's Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which passed the Senate by a strong bipartisan majority. My recollection was 89 to 2.
Right.
80, we don't pass many bills by 89 to 2. They do that in the House, I'm sure. 89 to 2. This bill provides billions of dollars for water projects across the country, directly targeting the communities with their most needs, places like Ellendale, just south of us here in Sussex County. It took more than 3 decades for Ellendale to pass a referendum that would allow low-income neighborhoods to connect to a public water system. I'll say that again. It took more than 3 decades for Ellendale to pass a referendum that would allow low-income neighborhoods to connect to a public water system. Funds from this bill will help make sure the Milk community has to wait 30 years to have clean water flow from its taps. As Specifically, our bill provides $55 billion to the Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund, the Clean Water State Revolving Loan Fund, and the Small and Disadvantaged Community Program, which will help Delaware and other states finance a variety of community and statewide water infrastructure projects through grants and through debt forgiveness. This legislation provided much more funding for the Assistance for Small and Disadvantaged Communities grant program, which improves access to clean, safe drinking water, including the purchase of filtration systems. This grant program targets assistance to disadvantaged communities from across the country. Our bill also provides $15 billion for the removal and replacement of lead pipes, a substantial down payment toward the replacement of all lead pipes in all of our communities. A friend of mine, you asked him how he's doing, and he says, compared to what? Compared to what we spent and invested in the past for removal and replacement of lead pipes, $15 billion is a huge amount of money. There's a very real need for this kind of communities here in Delaware and West Virginia, where Senator Capito represents, and in every state in our nation. Too many of our fellow citizens don't have clean drinking water, and yet they have every right to expect that they and their children would be able to drink freely and safely from their taps. And with this legislation investment it enables, we have the opportunity to right a terrible wrong and meet our moral responsibility to ensure all Americans can trust the water that flows through their faucets. And before I yield and turn to our ranking member, Senator Capito, I just want to mention, just close with this in mind. When William Penn showed up and landed on right there in Newcastle, Delaware, about 40 miles north of us, bearing the deeds of what would become Pennsylvania and Delaware. Most of the people then, and for centuries after that, they would get their water from streams, or they would get their water from the wells that they drilled. Over time, we developed municipal wastewater treatment systems, and that was good for some people. Other people continued to drink water from wells and from streams. When 1972, the Clean Water Act was, I don't know, was signed into law. I think it was enacted over Richard Nixon's veto, as I recall. But we created EPA, and EPA began making grants to states, to communities for wastewater treatment systems, for drinking water systems. We did that, I think, until about 1987. Ronald Reagan became president. I was in the House. And we created a new system. We created for every state two distinct state revolving funds, one of them for drinking water and the other for water sanitation, for wastewater treatment. And the federal government would seed each of the two revolving funds in all 50 states. The states would have to match those dollars. And the entities in the states, for their utilities or communities or counties or whatever cities, if they borrowed money from the revolving funds, they had to repay the money with interest. That worked pretty well for a long time, and it still does. Here's the problem. The problem is not every community, like Elmdale, like some of the places we visited in West Virginia yesterday, they don't have the ability to repay the money. They just don't have they have huge need. They need to draw monies down from those two revolving funds. They don't have the ability to repay the money. In the legislation, Senator Capito and I made sure we did this. And I think I was helpful in that, my staff. We made sure that communities in distress, communities in need, that simply don't have that wherewithal, they have the ability to get help too, both on the drinking water side and on the wastewater treatment side.